attention. It starts from the foundation. Everybody needs somebody. You turn a blind eye and care nothing less. Say it's just business, all about the money. You are so unbothered as long as they pay. Say it's just business, all about the money. You know they're on a fast lane, but you've got business to run. So you look away the other way. It concerns you. You don't know, you don't get juice. You don't lock people for jail. War against drug abuse.
I was the head boy in my primary school, senior prefect and best graduating student in my secondary school, but drug abuse almost ruined my life.
I was on an average of 2 grams of cocaine per day.
I was taking 8 ampoules of pentazosine daily.
European shisha, cocaine.
I became a user, a dealer, and a gangster.
I saw other users drowning. I knew I didn't want to be like them, but I was already trapped.
My family disowned me.
My employment was terminated.
I sold my car, sold my house. I'll go out well-dressed and return shoeless, shirtless in exchange for drugs.
I was seeing things that were not real, and I once stabbed myself because I felt something crawling under my skin.
I contacted NDLEA and started therapy.
I spent 3 months in therapy.
I spent 8 months.
It's easy to relapse, but your mind has to be stronger than the cravings.
Drugs does not love you. You are not the one using drugs. Drugs are the one using you. Say no to drug abuse.
Hello, doctor. Can I get the tramadol for the road? Body they pay me
to make I check your body, then I will tell you what you need.
Hello, doctor. I know it's the way to wait. I know it's the way to
wait to make I check your body, then I go tell you what you need.
Hello, doctor. No need to check me. I know say now waiting my body need. Is it your body? I don't be wait. I don't be wait. Hello, doctor. You see I am coughing. I need codeine or I go enter coughing.
Wait to make I check your body.
I don't be too wait. Give me cannabis, or sensibilia, please. I need to end this feeling.
Wait to make I check your body, then I will tell you what you need.
Hello, doctor, waiting I do myself. I've been known to say, but I didn't want somebody.
Wait to make I check your body, then I will tell you what you need.
Doctor, help me check my body. I need your help before it's too late. Hi. Gotta water handle you go just die throw away. Money handle you go just die throw away. Ecstasy handle you go just die throw away. Money handle you go just die throw away. Drama handle you go just die throw away. Money handle you go just die throw away. When cocaine handle you, and codeine handle you, money handle you go just die throw away. When Black Mamba handle you, and Ref not show you shade it. When he handle you go just die throw away. No, no, mama, no wait until them handle you. When they handle you go just die throw away. Paradise, oh, Mr. Metal, when them handle you go just die throw away.
It's a great country, Nigeria, whether west, north central, in the southeast, southwest, or south-south, this is the program, the conversation where you really need to be. Thank you for being part of this conversation today. Definitely, we will be acknowledging as many people as we can. That's those joining us for this discussion on this all-important program. This is a platform where we share information, knowledge, and raise awareness about substance abuse and its devastating impact on human lives, public health, and indeed the environment. Would also like to let you know that indeed this platform also serves as a channel for us to provide help to those struggling with substance abuse, especially those who need treatment. It's equally a means for us to update you about all the activities of the agency, especially what we're doing to curb the scourge or the menace of substance abuse and illicit drug trafficking in our country, in our communities, as well as getting your feedback so that we can continue to do that which we know how to do to serve you, the society, and indeed humanity better. It's also important for us to let you know that this conversation is recorded and is streamed live on our other social media handles, especially at NDLE 01 on Facebook and at NDLE TV on YouTube. You can always go back and take a listen to the recording. You can also share with others. Now we're getting close to that point where we already have our special guest, our guest speaker on the space. We're seated, ready to really fire on and give a lot of insight into the topic of our discussion today. Maybe I need to mention that indeed we have circulated it wide, but then it's key, especially as school kids, school children are preparing to go back to school, or some of them have actually resumed school. So we'll be looking at raising drug-free children in multicultural home and school environments, the challenges, the solutions. Indeed, we know these days, in this age of internet and a mix of culture, both at home and in school environments, all of this can pose real-time challenges for parents, for guardians, for teachers, and school authorities. But then that's why we have somebody who is well-fitted, well-suited to discuss this with us today, well-experienced. We'll be getting to her profile, so let me keep that back for now. Okay, before I get to her, to invite her, that is our guest speaker today, to make a presentation, let's quickly remind you of some of the activities of the agency this past week, which comes in our news highlights segment, and that will be taken by Netta and Miriam. Over to you, Netta. Let's get the updates from you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good day to everyone, and thank you for joining us on this week's X-Space. My name is Netta Wedozie, and here are the NDLEA news highlights for the week. First, the headlines. NDLEA intercepts UK, Euro-bound cocaine, opioids in female sanitary pads, hair cream. Destroys over 100,000 kilograms cannabis in Ekiti Forest. Recovers tons of illicit drugs in Kano, Osun, Taraba, Kaduna, Jigawa, Kogi, Bauchi, and Borno raids. Consignment of cocaine and pharmaceutical opioids concealed in ladies' sanitary pads and hair treatment cream containers heading to the United Kingdom, Ireland, and Cyprus have been intercepted by operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, at 3 courier firms in Lagos. In one of the logistics companies, no less than 30 parcels of cocaine weighing 1.1 kilograms concealed in hair cream containers were recovered by NDLEA officers of the Directorate of Operations and General Investigation, DOGI, during examination of cargoes going to Ireland on Tuesday, 3rd September 2024. Another consignment of 24 parcels of cocaine weighing 862 grams, also hidden in hair cream containers meant for delivery in UK, was equally intercepted at the same company on Friday, 6 September. In the same vein, a total of 525 pills of tramadol, 225 milligrams, and ecstasy, MDMA, concealed in ladies' sanitary pads going to Cyprus, were seized at another courier firm in Lagos by NDLEA operatives on Tuesday, 3rd September, while a shipment of 200 ampoules of promethazine injection and pentazocine injection hidden in food items and herbs heading to London, UK, was also seized by operatives on Wednesday, 4th September. Operatives equally intercepted another consignment of tramadol, 225 milligrams, buried in granulated melon that came from Cameroon and going to South Africa on Friday, 6th September. No fewer than 550,000 pills of tramadol were also intercepted at the Port Harcourt International Airport, Port Harcourt, on Monday, 2nd September, during a joint examination of a cargo that came from Delhi, India, with men of the Nigerian Customs Service, while a suspect was already arrested in connection with the seizure. In Ekiti State, NDLEA operatives, supported by men of the Nigerian Army, on Tuesday 3rd and Wednesday 4th September, stormed 3 camps inside the Ise Ekiti Forest Reserve and Abba Arugunmatidi with 16 hectares, all within the Ise Ekiti Forest Reserve. 2 suspects, Bala Musa 42 and Danladi Mohammed 44, were arrested on Friday 6 September along Toro Jos Road, Kaduna, with 305 kilograms cannabis concealed in false compartments of a J5 boxer bus marked YLA 682XM, while another suspect, Aminu Ayuba 24, was arrested in possession of 18 kilograms of same substance at Makarafi town. 2 others, Umar Usman 40 and Zubairu Kabiru 45, were arrested along Zaria Kaduna Highway in possession of 1,300 tablets of tramadol, all same day. In Jigawa State, Uzairu Yao 30 was nabbed with 32.6 kilograms cannabis on Thursday, 5th September, at Koran Shehu, while operatives in Kogi on Wednesday, 4th September, intercepted 77,300 pills of tramadol, diazepam and XO5, as well as 1,230 bottles of codeine in a commercial bus driven by Atai Okolo 68 along Aloma Ejule Road, Ofu Local Government Area, Kogi State. Another suspect, Mohammed Idris 56, was nabbed along Okene Lokoja Abuja Expressway on Tuesday, 3rd September, with 42.400 kilograms cannabis coming from Lagos en route Kano. While NDLEA operatives in Borno State arrested Idris Mohammed 40 at Ramat area of Maiduguri on Thursday, 5th September, with 13,100 pills of tramadol. Their counterpart in Kano on Wednesday, 4th September, nabbed Hakilu Usman 35 with 25.8 kilograms cannabis and 3,000 pills of diazepam along Kano Daura Road. In Taraba, no fewer than 87,790 pills of tramadol were recovered from Musa Adamu 30 when he was arrested in Zing, while in Osun State, a raid of the home of a drug kingpin, Mayowa Abayomi, aka Bishop, in Ilesha on Wednesday, 4th September, led to the seizure of 43 grams of crack cocaine, 23 grams of methamphetamine, 17.126 kilograms cannabis, and a locally made pistol. While commending the officers and men of Dogi, Port Harcourt International Airport, Ekiti, Kano, Osun, Taraba, Kaduna, Jigawa, Kogi, Bauchi, and Borno command of the agency for the arrest and seizures, Chairman Chief Executive Officer of NDLEA, Brigadier General Muhammad Bubamara, retired, noted that their operational successes and those of their compatriots across the country are well appreciated. He urged them not to rest on their oars, but continue to intensify ongoing drug supply reduction and drug demand reduction efforts. That's it on arrest and seizures. Now, here are some of the wider activities across the country for the week. Over to you, Mariam.
Thank you, Netta. My name is Maria Musa, and here are some of the wider activities across the country for the week. The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, employs the War Against Drug Abuse WADA Social Advocacy Initiative as a major component of its effort in combating the scourge of drug abuse in the country by seeking to sensitize the general public on the dangers inherent in substance abuse. Every week, NDLEA commands across the country facilitate sensitization lectures and programs in schools, worship centers, communities, and others to equip the society with the needed knowledge and skill to avoid drug abuse. On Monday, 2nd September 2024, the Adamawa State Command facilitated WADA sensitization lecture for female students of Madarasatu Durbitian Tafizul Quran, Gombe, while the Enugu State Command on same day took WADA enlightenment lecture to students in Uwani area at Eagle Center, Enugu. The Edo State Command of NDLEA on Tuesday, 3rd September, delivered WADA sensitization lecture to staffs of Don Bosco Science Academy, Okun, Ekpoma. Also, the Osun State Command delivered a compelling WADA enlightenment lecture to members of Peace Corps, Oshobo, educating them on the dangers inherent in substance abuse. Continuing the WADA activities for the week, on Wednesday, 4th September, the Kano State Command facilitated WADA enlightenment lecture for students of Kano State Polytechnic during the School of Technology Students Week. The Yobe State Command of NDLEA inaugurated a newly established WADA club in Yobe State University on Thursday, 5th September, as part of efforts in fighting the menace of drug abuse in the country's educational institutions. In the same vein, the Sokoto State Command took WADA advocacy lectures to taxi drivers at Central Motor Park, Sokoto, just as the Ebonyi State Command also took WADA advocacy campaign to the Council of Traditional Rulers in Abakileki.
Interrogate the presentation by our guest speaker. Please, let's ensure that when you are approved to be on the speakers, don't unmute yourself or you don't interrupt the discussion of the conversation, so that we all can have a seamless conversation and indeed benefit from some of the insights, knowledge, and information that will be shared on this platform today. Would always like to appreciate your usual cooperation. Thank you very much for that. Quickly, let's remind you of about the NDLEA's call center, where we have a wide range of services, psychosocial support services, a wide range of experts ranging from counselors, clinical psychologists, psychotherapists, and even psychiatric doctors who work 24/7 through our toll-free helpline. You can reach them to ask for support, to ask for counseling, and they will be glad to do that for you. And that service is very confidential. You can rest assured that indeed your discussions with them, they are private, and you don't have any reason to be afraid of being judged or being stigmatized. That's the beauty of the service. So the toll-free helpline to call is 0800 1020 30 40. The number again to call is 0800 1020 3040. You can call the number from the comfort of your home from any part of this great country. You can rest assured that you'll be attended to, and at any time of the day, in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, in the night, anytime you can call the number. It's toll free. You'll be attended to. You'll be supported by our experts. That's the beauty of it. We also like to tell you another thing about it. That is the fact that it's language sensitive. That the service at the center is language sensitive, meaning that for those that cannot speak English or you don't understand, you can't speak Pidgin English, you rest assured that indeed our experts there would also be able to attend to you in any of the three major Nigerian languages of Hausa, Yoruba, Igbo. That's trying to get this service closer to as many people as possible in our communities and across every part of this country. That's for that. Quickly, let's move to the nitty-gritty of this conversation today. And so it's my pleasure to introduce to us our guest speaker, Dr. Oluseyi Odewale, a prevention and addiction counselor. Indeed, Dr. Odewale is a guidance and counseling expert, prevention professional, and addiction counselor. As a Chief Executive Officer of Purpose Driven Counseling Services and an experienced educational consultant She promotes engaging, inclusive learning environments, driving academic excellence and personal growth. Indeed, Dr. Odewale is a national trainer and expert in prevention programs specializing in universal prevention, the child intervention for living drug-free child, and global resilience oral workshop with a focus on school, family, and community interventions. Dr. Odewale leverages her extensive expertise to empower teachers and school administrators with the skills to foster a supportive and inclusive school and classroom environment. Through her training, she emphasizes the importance of teachers creating a positive and non-intimidating atmosphere, encouraging them to adopt a nurturing approach rather than being authoritarian figures. She is a best-selling author, teens teacher, and member of many professional bodies like International Society of Substance Use Prevention and Treatment Professionals, that's ISOP, as well as Association of Professional Counselors in Nigeria, APROCON, and others. Indeed, with this a brief profile of her, I'm sure you will agree with me that indeed we got the right person to discuss this issue, that is this topic today, raising drug-free children in multicultural home and school environments, the challenges and solutions. Indeed, she is well suited for this. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Oluseyi Odewale as I invite her to unmute herself. Where is she? Where is Dr. Odewale? She was on the speaker's table and suddenly I can't. Okay, I'm sure she'll have to get back. I've seen her. Please, if she's still on the platform, let her request for to where she has to speak now. Okay, let me go on. Okay, before while we try to sort that out with that, I already saw her. She was well seated. Let's quickly acknowledge some of our compatriots already on this space. Like to appreciate Madam Lady Maria Elubuhi. Lady Maria Elubuhi was recently a guest speaker on this platform. Thank you very much, dear Lady Maria. Samson Haruna, thank you very much for being part of this conversation today. We also have Scully 16. Scully 16, thank you for being part of this conversation today. Ahmad, that's Ahmad. I think Ahmad used to use at Arewa Poet. That's the handle before. I think maybe that must have been edited again. All right, thank you very much, Ahmad. Mustafa, thank you for being part. Mustafa was very, I think, had a very good contribution on this platform last week, or about 2 weeks ago. Thank you very much, Mustafa. Apart from Mustafa, let me also acknowledge Usama. Usama, thank you for being part of the conversation today. Regular John Ogunjimi, thank you for being part of the conversation today. I would also like to appreciate Titi Layo, Eme, Udofia Jimeta, thank you very much, Madam Jimeta. Abdulwalihu Ibrahim, thank you for being part of this conversation today. HM Batul, thank you for coming around. Bola Olaoshun, thank you. Mr. Obi Anthony, Mohammed Abba, Baba, Usman, Prince Eshimokai joins us from the diaspora. Thank you for being part of the conversation today. Bonin Ayu, thank you for being part of this conversation. Mohammed Bafo, thank you. Drug abuse and illicit sex, thank you for being part of the conversation today. Would also like to appreciate, I have seen her, some people that I saw. Okay, definitely I would also like to appreciate my dear sister there, Kem Patriot, that's Ajia Kem. Thank you very much, Kem, for being, okay, it's even not just Ajia Patriot again, it's now Ajia Rakma. Okay, very good. Thank you for always updating us, Kem. All right, I think now let's please join me in welcoming Dr. Oluseyi Odewale as I invite her to unmute herself while we listen to her. Spend the next 30 minutes discuss our topic for today, raising drug-free children in multicultural home and school environments, the challenges and solutions. Please go ahead with your presentation, Dr. Odewale. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I want to appreciate the director and the entire team of NDLEA for having me on this platform this afternoon. We have an important topic to discuss, and that is raising drug-free children in multicultural home and school environments, the challenges and solutions. We all know that the school and the home, they play a very important role in the life of every child, and that raising drug-free children involves actively involved every parent by guiding and supporting their children to grow up without engaging in drug or substance abuse. It requires a combination of education, communication, emotional support from every significant other around the child, both parents and teachers, and also the creation of healthy environments, both at home and in school. And the goal is for us to equip our children with the skills and knowledge to make informed decisions, because different opportunities will present themselves to them at every point in time. But we need to equip them with those skills that will help them to make informed decisions and help them to avoid the temptation or pressure to use drugs. Now let's look at multicultural environment. What is it about? It refers to a setting where individuals from diverse cultural backgrounds, where they live, they work, and also learn together. We are here on this platform, we are from different backgrounds. Some are not from Nigeria, some are from northern part of Nigeria, from southeast, from southwest, and so on and so forth. So we are here now learning together, doing one or two things together. That is a multicultural environment. And this can include different ethnicities. We are all from different ethnic groups, also different languages, different religion, customs, and different values. And this kind of environment promotes exposure to various perspectives. We are here on this platform, we have different perspectives to the use of drugs, even different experiences and ways of life. All this has a lot to do with raising children that are going to be free from drug use. Raising drug-free children in a multicultural home environment like this presents a unique set of challenges due to the blending of different cultural expectations, different values, and beliefs. And so we are going to look at some of the challenges that we can present themselves to us in various families, and also that of schools. Number one challenge that we could have when we are thinking of raising drug-free children in multicultural home environments, like is always there everywhere, is conflicting cultural norms. Different cultures have varying attitudes towards substance use. For example, what might be considered a normal social activity in one culture, for example, alcohol use during celebrations, could be considered a normal social activity, could be frowned upon in another culture, in another community, or in another religion. And these conflicting views can confuse children about drug and alcohol use. Another challenge could be peer pressure from diverse communities, even in home environments, not to even talk of school now. Because children from multicultural homes may interact with peers also, from various cultural backgrounds, each with different attitudes towards drug and alcohol. And also our children may face peer pressure to conform to the behaviors of different groups, because at this age, for children and adolescents, they like to fit in, they like to be like their peers, like their friends, to do what they do, which can increase the risk of exposure to substances. Another challenge from home could be different disciplinary approaches. Because in multicultural families, where parents come from different cultures or from different ethnic backgrounds, different social groups, they may have varying views on how to discipline children or handle substance abuse issues. For example, one culture might take a more strict or authoritarian approach. Oh, you must not do this. If you are fine doing this, these are the consequences. But another may focus on dialogue and education. The same home, the same family. And these differences can cause confusion or mixed signals for the children. Another challenge could be normalizing substance use in certain celebrations, like we have seen in some cultures, that the use of alcohol or substances is normalized in family gatherings. religious ceremonies or celebrations. Some, without the use of alcohol or any other drugs, celebration is not complete. That joyous occasion is not complete at all. You just have to have it there. And this can make it very difficult for parents to instill a zero tolerance policy in the home when children witness drug or alcohol use in communal or family settings. They see adults, parents, uncles, aunts, drinking, smoking. They will think it's a norm. Now, this is acceptable in the society. Now, let's look at some of those challenges that are peculiar to schools. Also in schools, students come from different backgrounds with different views on drug use. So we will have school environment that reflect these varied attitudes, making it difficult to make a consistent message about drug prevention. What about normalization? Because I've said this earlier on, in some culture it's normal for family members to take some psychoactive substances like alcohol to celebrate. Also mixed influences. Children may be exposed to peer pressure from diverse group of classmates with different attitudes. Right from primary school to secondary school to the university, they will be exposed to different people from different cultures, different attitudes, different perceptions to the use of substances. And this can also create conflicting influences and increase the risk of substance abuse. Another challenge in schools is inconsistent school policies. Schools may have different policies or approaches to drug prevention and discipline as a result of their diverse cultural backgrounds of students, cultural background of staff and parents. Another challenge could be expectations and norms. Because parents from different backgrounds may have different expectations regarding drug use and prevention. They may have contrary opinion. Mr. A opinion may be different from Mr. B opinion. And this can always create inconsistencies in how drug-related issues are addressed at school and at home. Now, the solutions now, both at home and also in schools. Starting from home, like this common saying that charity begins at home. Every child's life starts from home. So, and before we can actually set rules, boundaries, telling our children to say no, not to do this, not to do that, there must be a relationship, positive relationship. And as an important aspect of relationship, that must be there first, and that is communication, open communication. That's number one solution to raising drug-free children in multicultural home and school environments. Because without communication, there is no relationship. When you begin to communicate with a child, you are building a relationship. In that way, you'll be able to correct that child and instill your values, your beliefs in that particular child. Because rules without relationship will lead to rebellion. Children will see that as punishment. What are you saying? You are doing this thing, and you say I should not engage in it. But when there's a relationship, families will be able to talk about it, about the dangers of drugs, emphasizing the consequences and the long-term effect of drug use. And when parents are doing this, they must maintain a non-judgmental approach to it at all times. And also, children must be able to feel comfortable about discussing these issues. Number two solution, family bonding. Every family must engage in family activities that strengthen bonds and offer opportunities to connect, to make children feel supported and less likely to seek out any risky behavior for attention. Because sometimes we have seen quite a number of young people that do drugs. It's because of attention. Their children are not, their parents, are not giving them attention at home. So they look for that attention outside. And definitely they will get it because their peers are ready to accept them. Another solution is setting clear expectations. Parents must establish clear boundaries and rules regarding drug use. And this also must be enforced. The consequences must be enforced when these boundaries are broken. Another solution is modeling positive behavior. Very important, because children learn by observation. They learn by imitation. They listen with their eyes. So parents must model a healthy lifestyle, including refraining from drug use, Because when we do that, we are sending a powerful message to our children. Anything contrary to that, they will be confused. We must model positive behavior. Somebody shared something with me in our organization, that in their family, in the husband's family, any little celebration, they must buy drinks, alcoholic drinks, and all sort of assorted drinks.
The network seems fluctuating. Dr. Oluseyi, if you can hear us, let's see how we can make amends.
To celebrate also. That is why I am doing what I am doing.
We lost you.
So
Parents
must model positive behavior because children are learning.
Dr. Oluseyi,
also, parental monitoring is very important. That particular modeling of behavior, as only the family members are able to explain to this child that, no, this is for adults. You're not supposed to drink because you are not of age. Because we need to have this understanding also that children's brain are still developing. And any attempt to introduce any psychoactive substance is going to disrupt the developing brain. And the last part to develop is the place of judgment. The place of decision making, the place for executive functions. What are the executive functions? Planning, memory, learning, motivation, ability to weigh long-term consequences. These are very important. And we as parents, we are the one that is going to help them. Every child needs an adult in their lives. Children cannot raise themselves. That is why we need to model positive behavior, and also parental monitoring is very important. We need to regularly check in on our children's whereabouts, who they associate with, and what they are exposed to on social media and everywhere. This can actually prevent them from early exposure to negative influences, including substance abuse. We need to also know their friends. These are solutions to raising drug-free children in multicultural homes. Know their friends. Be aware of who your friends spend their time with and the influences in their lives. Monitor their free time, their friendship patterns. All these are very important. We need to also encourage friendship with peers who share the same values with them. All of us as parents, we need to have our values. And these values will always guide our children. And we need to encourage them to have friends. Friends are good. Good friends are good. We should not discourage them from having friends, because no matter how we do that, we may not be able to achieve anything, because later they will leave us and they will begin to associate with people that value them. And those people that value them may be those ones that will encourage them to go into the use of drugs. Also, we need to supervise their activities. We need to stay involved in our children's activities, both online and offline. Monitor what they do on social media. Know where they go. We need to also be present in their key moments. All these help us to prevent exposure to negative influences. We also need to give them emotional support. Children of nowadays, they are also passing through some challenges. So emotional trauma, one way or the other, academic pressures, high expectations from parents, from teachers, from the society. So we need to provide emotional security and understanding. All this will reduce the likelihood of children seeking comfort in harmful substances. We also need to develop their life skills. Encourage problem solving, decision making, ability to make choices, to make informed choices. Because any choice they make now is going to impact their health and also their future. We need to also encourage self-worth. To be able to develop self-confidence, we need to praise their effort. Any little effort, we should not wait for big achievements. So any little, you did this, or you tried, you did well. Next time I know you can do better. Not that what have you done? Your mates are getting 90, 100%. You are getting just 60 or 50. Do they have 2S? Little effort, when you praise it, those ones will actually encourage them to do more. We need to also know as parents and as teachers also that young people, they are full of energy. They are full of, and we need to redirect this energy to positive things. Encourage involvement in sports activities, reading clubs, music, or arts. This one will provide positive outlets for them to actually exercise their energy. Also, we need to help them to know how to handle peer pressure. Peer pressure is real, but they can do it. They can handle peer pressure. Yes, maybe they are in primary school now, no issue. Secondary school, no issue. But when they get to the university, from different backgrounds, different cultures, they will meet them there. How do we think that they need to handle peer pressure? We need to equip them with strategies, confidently say no to drugs. Yes, you are telling them, say no to drugs, but they need to say it confidently, without feeling bad when faced with peer pressure. They need to be assertive. They need to stand by their decisions without feeling pressure to conform, because they will be face to face with these issues. It's okay to be different in a positive way. Because young people, they want to belong. They want to fit in. They don't want to be left out. That is why some of them, they engage in risky behaviors such as substance abuse. We also need to address substance use in celebrations. We're still talking about solutions. The solutions are so plenty. Things that we can do are many. And we can do it as parents and as teachers, as caregivers, and every significant other in the life of a child. Because every child is everyone's child. We need to address substance use in celebrations by setting clear boundaries, and also communicate clearly our family rules regarding substance use, even during celebrations. We need to explain reasons for these rules and how they align with our family values. We should not just assume that, oh no, they are children. What do they know? We don't need to explain to them. We can take alcohol, but they cannot take it. They need to know. You need to explain them that your brain is still developing. Your brain is still under construction. And any attempt to introduce any psychoactive substance at this stage is going to mess up with the brain. It's going to affect those important functions that your brain needs to perform. We need to also find alternative way of celebrating. We can create or participate in alternative celebrations that do not involve substance use. We are actually reinforcing our family's commitment to a drug-free life. We need to be present in their lives, actively present, participate, showing interest in their activities, in their passion, and also be there for them to express themselves, to share their concerns, to share their thoughts. Because the more involved we are as parents, the easier it is for us to recognize changes in behavior that may indicate trouble. But peradventure, if there's anyone at any point in time experiment with drug, what do we need to do as parents? We need to be calm, remain calm. That is not the time for us to now begin to call family members, uncles, aunties, come and see what I see, come and hear what I hear. Calm down and have a conversation with that child. You need to address the issue, because there's always a story behind every drug use. Maybe that child is passing through some challenges, because there are risky factors. There are risk factors for drug use. For example, some children that are living in a marginalized community, some children that are having some mental health issues, some children that their families, conflicts every time, fighting every time. Some children are abused, maybe emotional abuse, sexual abuse, or physical abuse, and they are using drugs to cope with the trauma, with the pain. All these, we need to address it when we see or we hear that a child is experimenting with drugs. Because drug use has progression. Drug use starts from experimentation, regular use, risky use, and then to addiction. Because the way we undo any drug use among young people is going to go a long way, whether that child will continue or that child will stop. We need to address the issue with care and offer guidance rather than condemnation, rather than expulsion, rather than expelling a child. We need to address the issue behind that drug use. Now, I want to talk about some of the solutions that are so particular about schools. Now, when we talk about drug prevention in schools, there are three main components. If we really want to prevent drug use among children in schools, we need to take these three components into consideration. We must not leave one without and we must not concentrate on one and leave the rest. It has to be comprehensive. Drug prevention in schools. The three main components are policy, school climate, and the prevention curricula. I'm going to explain. I'm going to start from school policy. There must be comprehensive policy in schools that will address drug use among children, among students. And what is a policy? A policy is a general statement about expected behavior in school in regards to substance use. And the policy must be inclusive. Policy is not something that only the principal of the school or the proprietor of the school or just few admin that will just sit down and create policy. No, it has to be inclusive. All stakeholders must be involved. And as students, they are the major stakeholders in school. They must be represented when we are creating school policy. And the policy should be corrective and not punitive. Not for us to punish them, but for us to correct them. And policies also should clearly specify the substance and the locations. So in this school, we want to deal with the alcohol use. If it's that particular substance that is common, it must be specified. And also, we need to include in that policy how to address infractions of substance use. In case any student now violate the rules, what do we need to do? And those sanctions must be positive, must be those ones that will still keep children in school. They must still be coming to school while they are actually, the consequences are taking toll on them. It must not disrupt coming to school. Because when you expel a student or a child, or you suspend them to go home, what have you done? You have not corrected that child. That child will now go and meet those peers that are out there and now go deep and deeper into the use of substances. So, and sometimes also in that policy, there is opportunity for us to also refer for counseling. If a child is caught with substance use, refer them for counseling. That is why counselors and teachers in the schools, they must also be trained so as to know what to do to address such issue at any point in time. Also, it must support normal school functioning. I want to emphasize this. Any consequence, the child must still be coming to school. The child must still be coming to school. That's the only way to help that child. And schools must provide comprehensive drug education program that starts early. Not only policy. The climate, the school climate also must be supportive, must be positive. The program must not focus only on the dangers of drug use. We must also equip our children, our students, with skills to make informed choices. And also the curriculum for drug prevention in schools must include ways of addressing mental health issues. Because when we talk about risk factors for drug use among young people, mental health is one of them. Some students or some children may be having some mental health issues, some mental health challenges that they are using the use of drugs to just cope with. Must not be the one that will not be bringing down a student's self-esteem. We also need to talk about emotional resilience for them. Build their emotional resilience, ability to withstand stress, ability to bounce back despite any setback. No, I failed last time. Yes, this time I can do better. These are the ways to go about it in schools. Another way is for us to create a safe and inclusive environment where everybody is respected. A strong school culture that emphasize respect, diversity, and inclusivity. This one will actually help us to create a supportive peer environment, reducing the likelihood of drug-related issues. And teachers and school staff, they need to be trained also, because they are in the best position to notice early signs of drug use or risky behaviors. We also need to collaborate with families in schools. Schools and families should work together to provide consistent message and support systems to address any substance use concerns in schools. This is how to go about it. It's a collaborative effort. We need to collaborate together, both home and school. Schools and parents should regularly communicate about the child's progress, behavior, and any concerns. This is how to actually spot any sign of drug use among young people. When we do this, we are creating a united front, ensuring that that child receives consistent guidance both at home and also in a school. This will also help us when we work together to recognize at-risk students. Some students are at risk. For example, students that their parents are using substances, students that are from marginalized communities, children that are having mental health issues. These are students that are at risk. They've not started using, but they are vulnerable to the use of substances. Also, we need to provide counseling and support programs. Programs that address academic, social, and cultural stressors. There are many things that stress young people today. We need to provide programs in schools that will address all these issues, that will allow them to speak out, to talk to us, people that can help them, not people that will offer them alternatives, things that can be detrimental to their health and their future. Also, we must organize programs that will address how they can cope, positive coping mechanisms, instead of taking to drugs to cope with any issue of life. These are ways that schools and home and school can actually collaborate to raise drug-free children in such environment that we have today, multicultural home environments. In conclusion, raising drug-free children requires the joint effort of families, schools, and the community. We have to provide the education, the emotional support, and create environments that discourage drug use, that encourage them to speak out, to talk to us whenever there is any issue of concern in their lives. As we are doing it, we are equipping them with the tools to make healthy choices, because all these choices will present themselves to them at one time or the other. So both homes and schools need to be proactive in maintaining drug prevention programs, and the dialogue must continue about the importance of a drug-free life for every child, because every child is unique, every child is special, and every child is loaded with potentials. There are treasures in every child. No child should be left unattended to from any environment, either marginalized environment, either no matter where they are coming from. Every child should be careful. This is how to raise drug-free children in multicultural home. And in closing, together, both home and schools, everyone in the community, we can do this by offering love, support, education, and guidance. By doing this, we are empowering our children to become responsible and healthy adults, thereby maximizing their potentials and contributing to the society. Thank you so much for listening.
All right, thank you very much for that powerful presentation there, Dr. Oluseyi Odewale. He's a guidance and counseling expert, prevention, professional, and addiction counselor. In fact, you have broken it down into the simplest of formats that anybody, even a primary school student, can pick and understand. Thank you very much once again, Dr. Odewale, for speaking with us. Please stand by. We have quite a lot of interventions, both in our DM and right on the space. People would make contributions, ask questions, and you speak to some of the contributions. Thank you once again. I have some people on queue, but then before I start inviting them, let me quickly appreciate some other people that have joined. That's the Prince at Bumi Ogunyale. Bumi Ogunyale, that sounds familiar. I guess I know you, Bumi. Thank you very much for being part of this. I know Bumi must have been one of those old colleagues that had jackpot to the diaspora. Thank you, Bumi, for being part of the conversation. Priscilla Ogubike, thank you for being part of the conversation. John Usaini, thank you. Just Me, thank you. My colleague in Lagos, Rita Okweri, thank you. Peter Bukata, thank you, Peter. Abbasio Fon, Etim, thank you. Etim. Adewi Hazan, thank you. Black King Okoye, that's a serious name. Thank you, Black King Okoye. We also have Alagbe Bolaji. Thank you for joining this conversation. Eniola Firefly, thank you for being part of the conversation. Alien X, thank you for being part of the conversation. We also have Isaiah Ashimugu, thank you. Benga Daramola, thank you, Benga Daramola, for being part of the conversation. Suleiman, thank you. Dr. Shibuzo Akwere, thank you, Dr. Shibuzo there. Winnie, thank you for being part of this conversation. Larry Labi, thank you. Funsho Jimo, a regular. Hosi Smile, thank you, Hosi Smile. Pascal Ewebo, thank you. Thank God, thank you. Adebayo, thank you. Also, my colleague there, Bashir Ibrahim, thank you for being part of the conversation. Auntie Kemi, that's at Faloye Adebola, thank you for being part of the conversation. Kende O, another of my colleagues, Shidi Unduku, thank you for being part of the conversation. Oluwaseun Jerome, thank you for being part of this conversation. Prince Adekola, thank you for coming around. Emi Abu, thank you for being there. Michael Uwakwe, thank you. And Dong Uyapsin, thank you for being part of the conversation. We'll hold it for now. We'll continue to acknowledge more people, but then let's start the conversation with contributions from those of us already raising our heart, signifying our intention. Let's start from another woman, that's Titi Layo Jibenta. Please go ahead, madam, and unmute yourself and let's hear from you.
Good evening, good afternoon, Mr. Femi, good afternoon, Mr. Bamidele, and good afternoon, Dr. Oluseyi. Thank you so much. I already had some questions, which you answered some of them towards the end, because I was looking more towards special needs children who have ADHD and who more and more new drugs are coming out to try and help. So first, I was coming from the part of, if you have a teenager that is old enough to make decisions and he's saying, oh, I want to get on the drugs because I want to do well and I want to achieve, and you are skeptical about it, looking more to therapy, how do you focus on it, knowing that you don't even know what the reactions to the drugs will be? So that's the first a personal thing to me. Then the second one was, given the prevalence that we're having increasingly more and more people on the spectrum, especially with those ones that pass through, they're not fully autistic. So they go through they go under the radar, and they end up being the people that normally drop out of school because they're not taught in the proper way. And they're more prone to getting on the streets to get these drugs. How do you curtail this? What does the government need to put in place? Because NDLA2 is here too. So I'm asking, how do we help these children? Because yes, there are some of us that have the opportunities, that have seen these things. What's the government doing, and how can the government help this, children, these children that are falling beneath the cracks and sometimes need medication to actually help them, so falling to trying to solve what is going on in their brains and becoming fully drug addicted. Then the last one I was going to ask was about also the mothers and the fathers. Normally children will follow what they see unconsciously in their houses. When these things are noticed, what is the environment that a school needs to put in place, to retrieve these children from these abusive situations? Because no matter what you say, counseling and all, but if they continue to go home, it continues to impact. How does the school system, how does the government help this type of children that are in need? Because more and more you see parents too getting addicted to drugs. Thank you.
All right, thank you there, Madam Titilayo. Let's over to you now, Dr. Oluseyi.
Okay. Thank you, Titilayo, for that question. I want to start from the first one. Like, how do you handle a child? Since we want our children to make choices, and the child is saying that I want to do drugs so that I can do well, you need to have a conversation with that child. You don't need to do drugs before you can do well. Many people are doing well, so well, without engaging in drug use. So you can do well. Okay?
It's medically given, prescribed drugs.
Okay, good. Okay, if it's medically given, then you can go back to the doctors to explain. Maybe there are some side effects or something that the child is experiencing. If it's medically prescribed, there's no issue with that. But it has to be prescribed by a medical doctor, not that self-medication, not that I used this drug last time, it worked for me, let me use it again. Because the more someone uses drugs, the more one will get used to it. So I will advise that you need to go back to the doctor who prescribed the drugs for more enlightenment on the drugs, so that we need to encourage our young people to avoid self-medication as much as they can. They must not do self-medication at all. So that's about that one. Secondly, for ADHD, I believe that with therapy and medication, the problem can be addressed, and this is going to be done by psychiatrists and psychologists. That's how to handle such a situation. We cannot handle this on our own without a specialist coming to help us out in this particular area. And the third one, talking about this age that we have, drugs are everywhere. They are affordable, they are accessible, they are everywhere. What can our government do? Our government, I believe some of them they are here also listening to us, and I believe that NDLA is actually doing a lot, yes, in this regard. So they can help out on how to make governments be aware that the consequences of this availability is a concern to me, to everyone that really cares. That this accessibility, availability, affordability is a big problem, it's a big issue everywhere. Children are exposed to drugs on a daily basis. Even some schools, you see very close to schools, you see drug sellers very close to them. So what do? Government has to do something, has to help us to make all these drugs not accessible, not available easily for young people to engage in. So I believe I'll be able to answer your question, and we can have contributions also from the platform.
Okay, I believe Madam Titilayo, you are good with that, so that we can go to the next person.
The last one, I understand the part of the ADHD people, and I think more and more, I don't know about if NDLA is working with the Ministry of Education for those out of school children that are out of school because they are needy and then fall into drug use. The last one was really about if NDLA, is there a way in which the educational system reports to NDLA when they've noticed drug abuse in the school, in a child's home? And what are the steps for that thereafter in terms of with any other agency to remove that child from that home?
Okay, maybe.
Okay. Thank you, Titilayo. For drug prevention in schools, there's no need to go out there and call any NDLA officer to come and address the issue. Schools, when teachers are trained on drug prevention in schools, and also the counselors, so if it's beyond what teachers can handle, they will refer to counselors who are trained on how to handle drug issue. Counseling will do a lot in the life of that child. Instead of going out there to go and report that child to any law enforcement agent to come and carry that child. One thing I want us to know about drug use is if a child is using drugs, any kind of, and is still going to school, we can still help that child. People that are addicted to drugs, going to school will be the last on their mind. So when a child is still going to school and that child is caught with substance, that child needs help. If you recall that I mentioned progression of use of drugs, experimentation. Maybe it's just first time that the child is just experimenting with drugs. Because young people they are very curious. They like to experiment. Oh, let me how I'm going to make my own body to how I'm going to feel about it. So if it's experimentation, that child can be counseled. That child can be helped instead of reporting that child to NDLA officer to come and carry that child. And even from the information I got, NDLA officers, they have counseling units too. They counsel, they help. They don't lock them up now. It's not that they will not take them to jail. There's a counseling unit in every NDLA office, helping anyone that do drugs. So that's what we can do about it. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much there, Dr. Odewale. In addition to what you have said, just to authenticate what your last statement, indeed, the agency, we have a war against drug abuse, WADA Social Advocacy Initiative, which encompasses a lot of things. That is raising awareness, sensitizing stakeholders, starting from the family level to the schools, to workplaces, religious places, communities, and all of this. I'm sure for those of us who joined when we were having our news highlights, some of those things were mentioned by my beautiful ladies who read the news highlights. We have our commands across the country, all over the places, working with civil society organizations, non-governmental organizations, faith-based organizations, community-based organizations, to take these messages to all of these places so that people can be well aware, they can be well equipped with the right information, with the right knowledge and skills to avoid substance abuse. And in the case that, okay, again, another step forward, especially within the school environment, the agency also works with the school authorities by setting up WADA clubs or drug-free clubs within the school environment. All of this we do to create a positive peer influence within the school environment. And in addition to that, just like Dr. Odewale said, we indeed work with school authorities to provide support to those who probably have delved into substance abuse or who are experimenting, by either encouraging the schools to set up counseling and treatment centers within the school environment. And for those that don't have, we also have treatment and counseling centers 30 across the country, and we have 3 new model ones coming up before the end of the year. That's again for those that may not have access to those ones. That's why the agency also provides a call center where through our toll-free helpline we have the same set of experts ranging from counselors, clinical psychologists, psychotherapists, and psychiatric doctors that can also attend to people, provide them teletherapy and psychosocial support services on the telephone. So all of this, indeed, we do just to provide some confirmation and support what Dr. Odewale said there. Thank you very much once again, Lady Titi Layo. That I got it. Okay, Lady Titi Layo. Okay, let's come to Adebayo now. Adebayo, please unmute yourself. Let's hear your contribution or your question. Please go ahead. Adebayo, your hand was raised since. Okay, if Adebayo is not ready, let me quickly read some messages.
Adebayo, go ahead with your question, please.
Yeah, his hands are raised, but then I have some questions in
Adebayo, go ahead, please.
Can you hear him? No, he's not. He's muted. Adebayo, you are muted, so you have to unmute yourself for us to be able to hear you. But if you are not ready, let me quickly go to DM to read some messages there. Okay, we have Maria Ilubo here saying, well done, Dr. Odewale. This was well broken down. I did say that. She presented in the simplest of language that even a primary school pupil can comprehend. Thank you very much again, Dr. Odewale. Okay, we have this from Michael Yekini. Michael Yekini, please, can we get the recording of this program? Absolutely. As soon as this program is done at 5 o'clock, it's the recording is available on our social media handles. You can always go there, take a listen again, and share with others. That's giving. Okay. Benga Paul Daramola. Okay. Well done, Dr. Dewale. It's quite amazing how you broke it down. More knowledge. All right. Thank you very much, Benga there. Reformer Oluseun, educating / sensitizing the members of the public on dangers should go a long way, but more attention and resources should be channeled into rehabilitation, reformation, and reintegration. I think many don't even know drug abuse is actually a crime here because nobody is questioning abusers. Actually, the world is moving away from criminalizing, so we're providing support and help for those who are struggling with substance abuse. Okay, pending when I have, let me quickly take this one before I invite Ahmad to ask his question. Jigba here is asking, what are some red flags? Okay, first, let me not skip her appreciation. I must sincerely appreciate Dr. Dewale for that presentation. Quite a lot of takeaways from it. My question is, what are some red flags that a child might be facing cultural pressure to experiment with drugs? Okay, that's a question from Digba, Dr. Dewale. Dr. Dewale, can you hear me? You are muted. You need to unmute yourself so that we can. Okay, if Dr. Dewale is not ready yet, I guess maybe she's struggling with. Okay, let's get Ahmad. Let's get the intervention from Ahmad first. Ahmad, please unmute yourself and let's hear from you.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mr. Femi. Can you hear me?
You're welcome. Yeah, loud and clear. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Well done, Doctor. Beautiful presentation. Well broken down, like someone said, in the most simplest language. A beautiful one. My concern here is, of course, I mean, in all of this, I'm always looking out for those who are very vulnerable, who lack this parental supervision. It's very, very important. I mean, I'm always concerned about them. Then secondly, our celebrities are not helping matters when it comes to these issues of substance abuse. I mean, how they glorify it in their lyrics and in their videos, how they glorify it. It's alarming. It's worrisome. So for me, this issue, it's essential that we develop culturally sensitive drug education programs that incorporate diverse perspectives and materials. It's also very important that bilingual and multilingual resources are made available to ensure that all children have access to accurate information about substance abuse, about drugs entirely. It's also very important that our communities it's also very, very important that our communities are well equipped. It's important that we have community-based initiatives that will handle sensitization, that will handle they'll handle a lot of sensitization when it comes to these drugs and substance abuse in local languages. It's very important. It's very important. That's that for me. So thank you very much, Mr. Femi. God bless.
All right, thank you very much there, Ahmad. Thank you for your contribution. Okay, Dr. Oded, well, is your network stable now? You are muted. Dr. Odewale, can you hear us? I guess she's struggling with her network. That's why we're not hearing her. Okay, let's go to the next person. If her network is not, let's come to drug abuse analysis set. Drug abuse analysis set. Please go ahead, unmute yourself, and let's get your contribution.
Okay. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Sir, I am in the school GG Girls Dupa Gwagwalada right now. I make sure they connected some of their computers and they are listening to the program. And it was very educative, very, very educative. They are interested. The principal is happy for this type of thing. And I wish they will keep on doing this as long as the session is on now. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you very much. We are glad that you have the students of the school gathered to listen to this. Please, they can also, it's recorded, the program is recorded. They can also go back on the handle even after this conversation to take a listen again. So we appreciate that. You can mute yourself now, drug abuse analysis, so that you don't have we don't have interruption from your end. All right, thank you. Let's take the next intervention or contribution from Madam Maria. Madam Maria, please go ahead. I know this is your area very well, prevention. Please go ahead. Unmute yourself and go ahead, please.
Thank you, sir, for the opportunity. So I just want to say, for the benefits of those who do not know, that Nigeria has implemented a lot of prevention programs in schools. So we have the Unplugged program, and I'm particularly happy about our last speaker who says a certain school is listening in, so they can take advantage of that. You can always contact UNODC. UNODC is there in Abuja, yes, and then they can help with the training of teachers. They've already done some in Abuja, which I was a part of. So apart from the Unplugged, also for some out-of-school children, they also have programs for that. They also have the Live Up, Line Up program for that is basically about using sports to do prevention for those who are not in school. So there are a lot of those programs. They are training for teachers on counseling, drug counseling, because after a student may be seen with his substances or even open up on his or her own, that child needs counseling or referral. So all those things have been done. It's not as if we are helpless as a nation. No, we are not. We are not, and the NDLEA also has been doing a lot even in the schools. So I want to say that sometimes we may not know, because we may not really know who to go to or where to go to. So these things are available and we can tap into it. And also I want to say that the translation of these things in the dialect, yes, I think is something that the second to the last speaker can work with these organizations and maybe get support for that to be done, because sometimes when this help comes, they may just do the basics, yes, and expect us to cascade these programs or contribute to these programs in our own way. So this is my contribution. Thank you, sir, for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Adia, Madam Maria. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you, Dr. Dewale. You are back now. Okay, let's take we'll do want to speak to all of those contributions and questions that are taking place while you were not available. Before we come to Professor Rosemary Ogu, we have a giant in the house ready to speak. So before we come to Professor Rosemary Ogu, please, Dr. Dewale, you can unmute yourself now and let's hear from you. Yeah, she's gone up. Okay, let me go back to Professor Rosemary Ogu. Professor Rosemary, thank you very much for being part of the conversation today. Professor Rosemary has been a speaker on this platform and she's been constant ever since. Please go ahead, Professor Ogu, please.
Thank you very much, Oga Femi. Well done to the NDLEA and all of us who have joined here. For everyone doing something about raising drug-free children in schools, in homes, I want to say thank you. And I want to say, please keep it up. I've been director of the Youth Friendly Center at the University of Port Harcourt, and I know the challenges that we face. As a medical practitioner as well, I know the challenges we face when parents come with children who are addicted. So these are things that we keep seeing. And there is no, it's like addiction does not have any respect. It can happen to anyone. And it can even happen to the most unexpected. So we truly need to know how to raise drug-free children. And so I am not providing any solutions today. I'm just saying this is a need. And I want to thank the NDLEA for doing this and to urge all of us who are here to please help. Please help. This is a scourge that we must conquer. Thank you so much. Thank you for the...
Thank you very much for that call to duty, for that reawakening call, Professor Ogu. We appreciate you for your intervention always. Okay, Dr. Dewale, are you set now?
Thank you for your contribution. It's actually the responsibility of everyone to raise drug-free children in our society. So, and I believe that every parent that are represented here today, and every teacher, and everyone that will listen to this program later, they will know that it's a call for action for everyone. It's that drug use is common among young people, but what are we doing? And it starts from home, like I said earlier on, that parents need to build strong relationship with their children, having positive relationship, conversations, communications must be on a daily basis, and also be present in the lives of their children. All these will help us to raise drug-free children in our homes, and also in schools too. Teachers and school administrators, they must create that environment where students are safe physically, where they are safe emotionally, and also where they are safe socially, where they can relate with each other, where they can ask questions whenever there's any issue of concern in their lives, where they are safe, where there's roof on their head, windows, doors, where there are seats where they can sit, so that they will be able to be connected to the school. So it's an holistic approach. It's the responsibility of everyone, not only government, even we as parents, even we as teachers. So thank you so much for that contribution.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Dewale. And Adebayo, you're still raising your hand. You want to ask question or contribution? If you want to do, please unmute yourself. Do that quickly before we move to Mustafa.
Thank you. Yeah.
You have two systems on. You have two systems on there. You may have to stay away from the other system.
I believe it's better now. Can I go ahead? I'm not with any system. I only change my location.
Okay, please go ahead.
Okay. Now, what I want to talk about is easier to begin to talk about the solution to use of drugs or substance. So we need to also appreciate the cause of the drug abuse in the first place. And like I said, hello?
Yeah, please go ahead. It's stable. I mean, you
Okay.
are stable now. The noise
I
is
think
gone
it's
down.
better now. I don't know who is making my mic to echo. So we need to look at the causes. And in my own summary, in our society now, we have very young parents. You know, some parents are even themselves, they are still, I consider them as children, because they don't understand the meaning of parenting and what it takes to be a parent. And I'm happy that doctor already mentioned some of those things. You know, where it's a situation where you have even the parent engaging in the use of drugs and other risky behaviors. Also, we need to appreciate the societal pressures on young people, especially the societal pressure on young people. We need to also appreciate the lack or absence of parent or guardian. It's easier to talk about, you know, children that are still living and staying with their parents and guardians. But we have, even in our society, children that are not under any parental control or guidance, you know, for that matter. Then also contributing to the abuse of drugs is poverty. We may like to, you know, paint it or give it any other coloration, but the reality in the black nation is poverty. Poverty is everywhere. Some people are privileged, no doubt. In fact, on the space, I can say more than 80% people, I may be wrong though, are privileged in one way or the other. But we have so many underprivileged people in the society. Then I also put down exposures to other risky behaviors, like, you know, all these internet access to internet. It has its pros and cons. It has disadvantages. You know, there's a lot that you stand to gain if you engage in internet facilities, and there's a lot. There's a lot you also stand to, you know, that is not really desirable on the net. So we need to understand most of these and more before we can now move to, okay, what are the preventive measures that we can adopt, and what are where we cannot prevent. If you have people that are already engaging in it, what are the solutions? So the prevention, and I would love if the doctor can also enlighten us more on the prevention, because it's always said that prevention is better than cure. No, everybody have been talking about strong and purposeful parenting. We need to inculcate certain moral standard in the mind of the young people. We need to empower them, you know, early in their life so that they know the purpose for which they are meant to fulfill. We need, you know, to see how we can expose them to healthy environment. In fact, when I was about starting my own family, I need to live where I was living then, because I know that it's not the right environment to raise children. But it's not everybody that we see it that way. Maybe due to resources or other things can prevent you if you cannot live certain environment. but you know certain environment is not ready to raise children, then parent and government control. There's a lot that the government can do to control the abuse of, for example, if these drugs, these substances are prevented from getting to society in the first place, there's no way it will get to the hand of these young people where they begin to abuse it or misuse it. So those are just my own bit that I need, especially our doctor on the space, to to enlighten us more on some of these things, because we need to really now focus more on the prevention, the causes and prevention, because it's easier, to me, I believe it's easier to prevent these things from happening in the first place. The solution is very expensive. If you have anybody that begin to talk of rehabilitation, you begin to talk of treatment, all these are easier said than done. I've met someone that have been to rehabilitation center more than once, and is still continuing using the drugs. And a lot of circumstances can make someone to go into drug abuse. So I think for the sake of time, let me leave it here for now, so that our doctors can attend more and elaborate more on these issues. Thank you very much for having me.
All right. Thank you very much, Adebayo, for your contribution.
Thank you, Adebayo, for your contribution and also the question on prevention. Prevention is a whole lot. Prevention is not the same thing as sensitization. It's not the same thing as just telling people to say no to drugs. Prevention has to do with all the programs, everything that we do to help young people not to initiate drug use, to avoid or delay the initiation of the use of drugs, or even if they have started already, to avoid developing disorders. All the programs, all the strategies, everything that we put in place. That is what prevention is all about. And in prevention, we address the risk factors. We try to find out the root of this problem. And in this case, in the case of substance abuse, we need to look at the risk factors. What are they? I'm going to mention some of them. Some children are actually born with difficult temperaments. Sensation. Yes, we cannot change their gene, but it can be managed. We also have some children that are living in marginalized community. And as you rightly said, that poverty is also a big factor when we talk about drug abuse. Communities where there is no roof on their classrooms, no windows, no chair to sit, no restroom, children run around unsupervised. All these are risk factors for drug use. Also, some children will have mental health disorders, family conflicts. These are risk factors. Peer pressure. These are also risk factors. This is also one of the risk factors for drug use. Harsh parenting is also a risk factor for drug use. So in prevention, we address all these risk factors, because without addressing all these risk factors, we will just be talking about prevention and prevention. And sometimes we think we are doing prevention, we are actually sensitizing, and we don't sensitize young people. You sensitize adults. But for young people, there are programs that must be in place. And these programs are age appropriate. Even from infancy to late adolescent, there are different programs for them at every stage, teaching them pro-social skills, how to relate, how to communicate, how to manage stress, how to manage anger, how to manage their emotions. All this will help them to say no to drugs. So that is what prevention is all about. And when we talk about prevention also, there are many settings that prevention can be done. That is why I said prevention is a whole lot. We can do prevention in families. So we have family-based prevention, school-based prevention. We have faith-based prevention. So even our churches and our mosques, they have a role to play in prevention of drug abuse among young people. We have workplace. Because workplace drug use can affect children also. We have talked about parental substance use. Workplace also is a setting, health sector, and even the community. There's a community-based prevention. So when we talk about prevention, it's a comprehensive package. It's something that every one of us, we must not begin to say, oh, home is only the problem. Yes, everything starts from home, but then school has their role to play. They must provide an environment where children can thrive, even though they may not have parents that are there for them. But when they get to school, and they have nurturing teachers that are responsive, teachers that are approachable, teachers that are loving, yes, it will also help them. So these are some of the settings in which prevention can actually take place. It's a whole lot. Thank you.
All right, thank you there, Dr. Adewale. Let's move to, okay, let me take Mustafa first before I come to my colleague, Bashir Ibrahim. Mustafa, please go ahead.
Thank you, Femi. Thank you for having me. Good evening, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Sorry, I think I have one question and one advice. So my question is, I don't know, since we have doctors here, I don't know if we did NDLEA classify cigar as drug abuse, because you often see somebody smoking. I mean, even children in secondary school, they found themselves in smoking. And then when somebody is trying to tell them that this is not right, this is not good, but some claim that this is not drug abuse. So I just want to confirm if the smoking cigar is it drug abuse, because I believe cigar has some substance that contains nicotine, and I believe somebody can be addicted. No. So somebody, it has a nicotine, and which is like I've said, it can be addictive. So I don't know. That's question number one. And then number two, that's the suggestion I have. These days. Hello.
Yes, we're hearing you, Mustafa. Go ahead.
Okay. The second advice I have here is, as an ICT, that's my professionalism. I'm an ICT officer working with the United Nations. So I believe internet has a lot to do with the exposing children to find themselves in drug abuse. So what I would advise parents here is that even some parents have the internet in their residences, some have it in their apartment, and then they often allow their children to have access to the some tablets in the name of maybe helping them in their school activities, and then without any restriction or control over what your children is viewing on that. A lot of things happening on the internet. So what I would advise parents here, for those that have internet in their houses, is they can apply some rules in whatever they have. Even if it is a router, that small router, you can access the brain of that router and put some restriction to so site. There are some sites you can put and then block your children from accessing it. And if you don't know how to do that, you can ask any IT technician. They can help you with that. I think that can can play a vital role in allowing our children having access to the outside world on the internet. Thank you. This is my advice. Thank you, Femi.
All right, thank you, Mustafa. Doctor, go ahead. Doctor.
Thank you, Mustafa, for that question and also the contribution, the advice given. So for the question on cigar is a drug, but there is drug use and there is drug abuse. So I'm going to explain. Drug use is when a person uses a drug without any consequence. So cigars, cigarettes, alcohol, they are all psychoactive substances, even though it's socially acceptable. But it's not for young people, it's not for children, because the brain of young people is still developing. And I explained during my presentation that the last part to develop is called prefrontal cortex. And that part of the brain is for judgment, it's for executive functions. What are the executive functions? Planning, memory, learning, impulse control, ability to weigh long-term consequences. And these are very important, and it's going to be fully developed at around 25 thereabout. So any psychoactive substance is not good for a developing brain. It's going to mess it up. That is why alcohol, cigarettes are not acceptable. Children are not supposed to take it. So
Sorry, doctor, I can't hear you. Your voice is you're breaking. Sorry. Hello, Femi. I don't know if you can hear her, but from my end here, I can't hear her.
I think her network is fluctuating. Okay, Dr. Dewale. Her network is fluctuating there. Okay, pending when she stabilizes, I may have to get to the next person. Okay, let me bring in my colleague now. Let me bring in Bashir Ibrahim. Please, Bashir Ibrahim, please go ahead. Let's have your intervention.
All right, thank you very much, DAVA. Good evening, everyone listening here. Dr. Odewale has actually done an excellent job there. The only area I just need to say one or two things is why she was talking about prevention. I think somebody asked that question. Yes, while you look into the risk factor, the next thing you do is to strengthen the protective factors so that you can balance the two together. Because what we're having more these days is that the risk factors are increasing while the protective factors are decreasing. So we have to find a way of balancing it, a kind of strengthening and enforcing the protective factors while you address the risk factors. Now, you talk about the young ones, especially when you talk about the environment.
Yeah, for the benefit of those here that may not understand some of these terms, you may have to cite maybe some 2, 3, 4 protective factors just for their benefit. Thank you.
Okay, yes. When you talk about protective factors, you talk about good home, an ideal home where you can actually train children. That's an ideal home setting where you have set the rules in the house that everyone has to abide by, and there are consequences for that. Then there are parents too that are kind of a role model, not the ones that are actually kind of maybe separated or they're having issues and the house is not actually conducive. Those are things that we can that actually protective. Then the environment too, where you have an ideal environment where there is harmony, you have children playing outside, they have gardens, they have a play area, and every other child is every parent's child. This you can go on and be listening and what you have to say protective factors. Then another area I feel I should talk about is the school environment. That's why you talk about 3 A's. availability, accessibility, and affordability. There is a United Nations, I think, law also that said that within 30 meters to 50 meters radius of where there is an academic learning institution, that should not be sale of alcoholic beverages. But you see these days, you just come out of school gate and you see. So what is the community doing? What is the school doing? What are the parents doing? I feel if these three components can actually come together, they can actually address that area where the availability and the accessibility to substance use is away from the children, especially at the school age. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you there, Bashir Ibrahim. Bashir Ibrahim is my colleague. He was the immediate past commander of the agency in Kwara State and now at the headquarters in the Department of Drug Demand Reduction. Thank you very much once again. Okay, Dr. Dewale, is your network stable now? If it's stable, you can mute yourself and then continue with your... Dr. Dewale, you are muted. If okay, pending when your network stabilizes, let's get the next intervention from Michael Uwakwe. Michael Uwakwe, you've been muting yourself without approval before. Now you can go ahead, please.
Good evening, everyone. I'm sorry for muting myself
for the interruption earlier. Please go ahead.
This is my first time of coming into this platform and trying to make my own impact or my own suggestion or my own so what I want to say is that because I have been I'm a first-hand I have first-hand experience long time ago about a friend of mine, a very good friend of mine, a childhood friend of mine, that at the end of the day, when we were in secondary school, then he committed suicide because of substance abuse. And so at some point, I can understand what the doctor is saying about students and children taking it in school. Now, I would like a situation whereby the government, because I have found out that in our school curriculum, it is not those about the substance abuse have not been embedded in the curriculum these days. They have several ways of teaching and making students to have what they call the morals and some other things like cigarette is bad, alcohol is this and that. But I feel it's more better that they embed it into the curriculum of the school, like your agency there with the Ministry of Education coming together, forming a curriculum or forming a subject concerning this. It would be much more better that way, because these days now, if you find out the amount of youths that are taking it. In fact, a friend of mine, once we were just having this conversation and we were now laughing over it, that maybe the next boom in business will be rehab home and rehab centers. And you can imagine that what it means to get have this. And we all understand the fact that what substance abuse and taking it as young as that early age, how the doctor said it will affect some of their cognitive brain development, which is really bad, because at the point in time it will now make them their judgment factor, or whatever they are judging out of the society or where they are growing up will be more violently. It goes beyond all this thing, because the first-hand experience I had then with my friend, which is late now, which is he ended up committing suicide, was really terrible. I at a point in time, we even went as far as taking him to Yaba here in Lagos, and coming back from there, he was violent and even at a point in time wanted to burn down his
his father's house to that extent. Now, looking at that, I totally understand from where the doctor is coming from and some of the explanation he has given, because I have that first-hand experience. So I feel your agency with the Ministry of Education should come together and find a curriculum, because it is now a menace in the society. Every 1 to 10 child you see now are in substance abuse. I'm not joking about it. It is really turning to something else. And if we don't deal with it now, I don't know what the next generation will talk about, because you can see it how it's being displayed in our music videos, and it's now more like a norm where people feel like it's normal that you take it, or is either if you don't get high, then you are not a monk. And we understand how the youths these days are growing, and with the amount of the economic situation that people are facing these days, it goes beyond that. So I feel your agency with the Ministry of Education should just find a curriculum, find a subject that will really be hitting on it, not by you maybe putting it in other subject, more like where we were back in secondary school, where they were saying social studies and moral education, moral instruction those days. Find a subject separate from all this and let us deal with it itself. And people should know the difference between this and that, than whereby more like you want to tell a child that you are not telling a child, instead of telling a child that I don't know how to put it, instead of telling a child to use that you say, okay, you want to wee or you want to poo, instead of telling the child this is the much appropriate words to use for it, you will now find another more refined words to tell the child. Let us start this way so that the children will know what is going on. Thank you so much. Appreciate for the time.
All right, thank you, Michael. Indeed, we appreciate your contributions there, and I also like to say that indeed we've been working with the Federal Ministry of Education on all of this, but then we also know that indeed substance abuse or drug abuse is already in the curriculum, maybe at the federal level, and but we're trying to strengthen all of this. And there are meetings, efforts ongoing between the agency and the Federal Ministry of Education. Indeed, at the last World Drug Day on June 26th this year, there was a specific commitment by the Minister of Education on all of this, including drug integrity tests and all of those things. There were actually specific commitments by the minister on all of this. We'll continue to push for all of this so that we can get to the end of this menace. Thank you very much once again, Michael, for your contribution and question. Okay, I believe Dr. Dewale is stable now because we have barely 5 minutes left on this conversation. Please go ahead, Dr. Dewale.
Thank you for giving me another opportunity. Like the last speaker said something about we need to have a program for young people, for students. Like you said, sir, that there's a program already. There's an Unplug program for young people, and it has been implemented in some federal secondary schools in Nigeria, unity schools. I believe that we can also strengthen this program so that it will go to all the schools. It has really, we deliver in those schools, and we got results, positive outcomes on how it has actually reduced the use of substances by young people. So there should be a separate curriculum for them. Yes, I know in social studies there are areas of drug abuse and so on and so forth, but the teachers that need to talk to young people about drug abuse prevention must be trained, must be properly trained to be able to handle this. It's not something that just anybody can handle. It's that the teachers has to be trained on how to implement this particular program. So I want to just let everyone know that yes, is a challenge to every one of us. It's a concern, a big concern. But what we can do is a collective responsibility. Government has a lot to do by making these drugs, especially the socially acceptable ones, alcohol and cigarette, not to be easily accessible to young people, not to be affordable. Not to be affordable, not to be, for young people to just, now you can see that with 50 naira thereabout, young people can get some of these psychoactive substances. And we need to have it in mind that, yes, adults are taking it and they don't have any issue. But for young people, because of their developing brain, all these psychoactive substances should not be introduced at this stage of their life, because they still have a lot and a long way to go. Because early exposure to psychoactive substances we cause them to be dependent for so long. And like someone has said, that prevention is cheaper and is the best, because recovery is a journey. When we talk about addiction is a chronic brain disease that needs treatment, and that relapse is possible. So, but when we prevent, when we do all we can, different programs, giving them skills, it's not enough for them to say no. We need to help them to be able to say how to say that no. Refusal skills, decision-making skills, how to be assertive. These are some of the skills that we need to keep our young people with. A lot of information out there, whether we like it or not. Most young people that do drugs, they know the consequences of drugs, or they know the negative consequences of doing drugs. They know it, but they still take it. Why? Just because we have not been able to address those issues, those risk factors. We need to look at the risk factors. Every one of us on the platform today, let's think about the risk factors. What are those factors that could put any child, in that position to use drugs at any point in time? So this is a collective responsibility for every one of us, and I believe that we can do it. Thank you so much for your attention, and thank you for inviting me.
That's a very convenient point or spot to draw the curtain on this conversation today. It's a collective responsibility for each and every one of us. This is not the time to start shifting responsibility, starting from the home to the schools, to our worship centers, to our communities, up to a whole of government. We all need to take responsibility and do. The NDLA is leading and coordinating the efforts. We'll continue to do our best, and then would also expect other stakeholders like you and I listening and being part of this conversation today to also hold our ground and make our own little contribution. In that our little corner, that contribution really matters and can go a long way. So on that note, we'd like to also appreciate and thank sincerely our guest speaker today, Dr. Oluseyi Odewale, a guidance and counseling expert, prevention professional, and indeed the addiction counselor. She is the Chief Executive Officer of Purpose Driven Counseling Services and an experienced educational consultant. She's been
I was the
If anybody give you banana.
Everyone that has been part of this conversation, those joining us from across Europe, America, Asia, across Africa, and all over our country, Nigeria here, we appreciate you sincerely. Thank you for always finding time to join this conversation. Please rest assured that indeed this conversation is recorded, because indeed most people that listen, they join in their thousands, or they listen in their thousands at the end of this conversation. So it's recorded. Please go back to our social media handles. That's at NDLA01 on Facebook and at NDLA_Nigeria on X, TikTok, and at NDLA TV at YouTube. You can always get the recording on all of those platforms so that we can take a listen again, benefit from quite a lot of insights, knowledge, and information that have been shared by Dr. Oluseyi Odewale and other professionals, especially Professor Rosemary Ogu and all of those, all of our people that have spoken, especially Titi Layo Jimeta And everyone that has spoken and contributed one thing or the other on this platform today, we can really benefit from all of those shared experiences. Until we come your way again next Friday, same time with another topic and another guest, please stay safe. It's a weekend, weekend, Friday. Thank God it's Friday, but then please let's remember all that we have discussed on this conversation. Let's try and avoid that thing that can put us into risk. My name once again is Femi Babafemi. I'll see you next time and hand you over to my colleague Mahmoud to close the space for this time. Do have a great evening and bye-bye from this end.
About NDLEA, our listeners can visit our website www.ndlea.gov.ng, our social media handles at NDLEA_Nigeria on X, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. On Facebook, it is at NDLEA1. Do join us same time next week for another edition of this wonderful program. Bye-bye.
If anybody give you banana, sky, Simba. If sugar daddy give you cocaine, Simba. Run, Simba, Simba. Give you skunk, give you loud, tell you say na one drag. Chase, that's how you take start. Hey, what's in my eyes don't see. Simba, Simba. No be say I know they hear when them say make I stop. I know fit stop. I swear I want to stop. Somebody help me stop. If anybody give you banana, sky, hey, whether na school she Simba, Simba. Banana bar.